Hi guys, this video is time once again for my video blog of the 1987 season of the WWF Superstars of Wrestling TV show. This video today, I'm going to be talking about the episodes that aired on TV February 14th, February 21st, and February 28th, 1987. So with that in mind, let's begin. Start off, obviously, on February 14th, 1987, Valentine's Day. This Superstars takes place in Tampa, Florida, in the Sundome. And this is a very important episode because we find out if Hulk Hogan accepts the challenge of Andre the Giant at WrestleMania III. So we begin with a backstage segment. No, this isn't current WWE. Stay with me. It starts off with Jack Tunney and, first time appearing on WWF Superstars of Wrestling, Craig DeGeorge. And they're going to talk about the entire Danny Davis situation. And Jack Tunney's going to make a ruling. Well, before Jack Tunney makes that ruling, Danny Davis runs right past them and runs right down to the ring for the first match of the show, which actually is a Tito Santana match against Terry Gibbs. So the referee that's currently in the ring is arguing with Davis, and Davis pushes him down. Then Santana gets upset and takes his coat off, and he wants to fight him. And then Jack Tunney tries to get Howard Finkel's attention. He does, and he goes, "Referee Danny Davis is suspended for life!" And the crowd goes, "Ah!" And then Vince is like, all right. You know, so they're all happy. And then as Santana wants to fight Davis, Jimmy Hart comes running into the ring, and he gets Danny Davis out of the ring before anything can happen. And then Santana has a quick match, wins with a flying forearm. But the main story in that segment is the fact that Danny Davis is suspended for life as a referee. So after we go through an update segment, then we have a tag match where Cowboy Bob Orton and the Magnificent Morocco team up to face Leo Stroheim? Is that how you pronounce it, I guess? And Leaping Lanny Poffo. It's a very one-sided match. They pretty much beat up Stroheim the entire time. I don't think Poffo even gets in the ring at all in this match. So Morocco and Orton get the win. So after that, and an interview segment for an upcoming event, next match is the Junkyard Dog. He goes up against John Valcour. Mayflower? Anyway, Junkyard Dog basically gets the win with the thump, the body slam, power slam, and it's over. So then we get Demolition with the first appearance of Barry Darsow as Smash, the one who would end up being Smash for like 4 years or so. They take on Mario Mancini and Stevie Aoki. And this is just a very short, quick match. Another dominating performance for Demolition getting the win. And then it's time for Piper's Pit, the one with Hulk Hogan. Now, if you remember in the last video of Superstars of Wrestling, you know that Andre the Giant challenged Hulk Hogan for the title at WrestleMania III, ripping his shirt and the cross off of Hulk Hogan. So, Piper does his little rant for a little while, going, and then Hogan comes out, and he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, the world's heavyweight champion, Hulk Hogan!" You know, and they have all that, like, studio footage of the crowd cheering and all of that. And then Piper tries to talk to Hogan, and then eventually it leads to the famous question, yes or no, are you or are you not going to fight Andre the Giant at WrestleMania III for the World Heavyweight title, yes or no? And then Hogan screams, "Yes!" I can't do it. But you get my point. Hogan does accept the challenge of Andre the Giant, and thus we have the main event of WrestleMania III set. So after that, we get another match Ricky the Dragon Steamboat taking on a guy by the name of Tom Laxton. And this is a very odd Ricky Steamboat match for the fact that Steamboat is very, very aggressive in this match. Steamboat even jumps off the top rope onto the outside onto Laxton, and then he ends the match with a karate chop. He doesn't do the the crossbody off the top rope. He doesn't do that. He ends it with a karate chop. And then after the first WrestleMania report, which wasn't on my DVD, which sucks, but it's okay, we get our final match of the show. The Can-Am Connection, Rick Martel, Tom Zink, going up against Tiger Chung Lee and the Gladiator. It's a win for the Can-Am Connection. I mean, Tiger Chung Lee's in there, but it's a win for the Can-Am Connection. So then we go to the next episode, which first aired on February 21st, 1987. And once again, this is in Tampa. So it's very rare that you have I believe it's 4 episodes? Oh, 3. It is the 3 episodes. Okay, I thought it was 4. I may have miscounted. Because usually they have like 3, airings of, Superstars or Wrestling Challenge in the same building. So we started off with the Hart Foundation making their first defense of the tag team titles. Their first title defense on television. Who did they put the belts up against? Pretty good team. The Islanders, Haku and Tama. Now, before the match begins, Jimmy Hart announces the newest member of the Hart Foundation, Danny Davis. And here comes Danny Davis coming out in his little, white shirt and, his referee tights all striped in black and white. So it's a little bit weird to see that. So we have the match. You know what? For the time they were given, though, it was a good match. Ending is what you would expect in the late 80s, where the good guys got a chance to win, and then somebody interferes, costs them the match, which is what happens. Davis pushes, I think it was Tama, off the top rope, and the Harts get the pin. 1, 2, 3. Match is over. Harts stay the champs. And then we get an update from Mean Gene Okerlund, where he interviews Roddy Piper and asks the question if his match at WrestleMania III will be the final match of his career, and he says that it is at the time. So we now know WrestleMania III has Hogan and Andre for the belt, and Roddy Piper retiring from professional wrestling after WrestleMania. So then we go to the next match, which is King Harley Race against Salvatore Bellomo. No chance for Bellomo at all. Harley Race wins. That's why he's the king, and Salvatore Bellomo is on the bottom of the food chain. So after that match, we get one of those upcoming event interviews. So then we get the next match, which is Billy Jack Haynes. He goes up against Morgan Bastien. How'd you like to have your daughter come home and go like, Dad, this is my date, Morgan Bastien. So, Billy Jack Haynes, once again, with his power and muscle, gets the win with the full Nelson. So then, after another, one of those interviews, we have our next match, a tag match. Greg Hammer Valentine and Brutus Beefcake going up against Paul Roma and Frankie Rose. Roma gets a little bit of offense in, but not too much offense. Valentine and Beefcake win the tag match, and they're talking about their WrestleMania 3 match, which I'll get to in a minute. So then, Vince says that Piper's Pit is off this week. Piper's Pit is preempted for the Snake Pit. So we get Jake the Snake Roberts, and who's his guest? The Honky Tonk Man. And yep, you're thinking what I'm thinking. This is the infamous Snake Pit, where Honky Tonk Man smashes that guitar over Jake's head and knocks him out cold. I mean, he knocked him out cold. So after that, we get our WrestleMania 3 report, where Gene Okerlund talks about the 11 matches that have been signed for WrestleMania, with a 12th match possibly to be announced in the near future. And the celebrities are announced at the time: Bob Uecker, Mary Hart, and Aretha Franklin. So we get the whole WrestleMania. Oh, and they also talk about, they have some of the wrestlers answering who they think's going to win between Hogan and Andre. And it seemed like a lot of people thought Andre was going to win the match. Well, if you haven't watched WrestleMania 3, I suggest you do. So after that, we have our last match, Koko B. Ware going up against the Red Demon. No relation to the Blue Demon. Koko B. Ware wins with the debut of the Ghostbuster, which is basically your typical brainbuster suplex, but at the time it was known as the Ghostbuster. So, we're through 2, and now let's get to our final episode, which aired February 28th, 1987. And look, we're in a new building. We're in New Haven, Connecticut, in the Civic Center. So we kick off this episode of Superstars with the official contract signing for the main event of WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. So, we got Gene Okerlund. Pardon me, I had to switch legs. One of them was falling asleep. Had to switch to the press conference and the contract signing. And, Heenan talks after Andre signs the contract. And then Hogan gets upset. And then Hogan signs the contract. And he's like, I could have given you anything. All you had to do was ask. If you wanted a title shot, you could have just asked for it. And then Andre does his talking. And he starts talking in French. And then Hogan's like, if you're going to speak to me, speak in English, dude. And then Andre's like, you think I taught you everything in the ring? I haven't taught you everything. You'll see come March 39. And he does that, and that's the end of the segment. So then we go to our first match, Billy Jack Haynes against King Kong Bundy, which really, on paper, sounds like a good match. On paper, this does sound like a good match. Unfortunately, they only get 2 minutes worth of time. Billy Jack Haynes wins by disqualification when Bobby Heenan got involved in the match. Haynes was going to attempt the full Nelson, and then Hercules came out. Hercules double-teamed Billy Jack Haynes with Bundy, threw him out on the outside, and that's the end of that. So then we go to our update, where this time we talk about Georgie Animal Steel kidnapping Elizabeth from Saturday night's main event in January. And then, very interesting part here, they interviewed Elizabeth to get her thoughts on George the Animal Steel. And this is a great segment. He's like, well, he does have good eyes, and he has a nice smile. He's got a good personality. And then Randy Savage comes up and goes, what are you doing? Get back over here. No one wants to hear about George Steele. So it's a funny segment, It is pretty funny. So that's the update. So then we go to our next match, the Rougeau brothers against Dave Wagner and Rick Renslow. And then during the match, we have Dino Bravo give his opinion on the Rougeaus, because the Dream Team will face the Rougeaus at WrestleMania 3. So he does it in French and then does it in English. But basically, the Rougeaus get the win. So after the, coming to your area soon interview segment, we go to our next match, Honky Tonk Man against Jerry Monty. And of course, before that, they showed the guitar shot from last week. Honky Tonk Man wins with a shake, rattle, and roll, and moves on to WrestleMania 3. So then, our next match is Kamala against David Stoudemire. Now, if you saw my first video blog of Superstars of Wrestling 1987, you know how impressed I was when Kamala came in, just dominated his opponent, and just beat the crap out of him. Well, it's basically the same thing, but yet it's like there's no excitement to this. There's no excitement at all whatsoever. Because watching this, I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, this guy just beat him so quick. He's a dangerous man. He's an ass kicker. And it's like, he beat him in less than a minute. So then we go to the Piper's Pit, where the guests this week on this episode are the British Bulldogs and Tito Santana. They talk about the 6-man tag that is signed for WrestleMania III against the Hart Foundation and Danny Davis, and how bad that they want them all and how they're going to beat their butts. And basically that's that. And then we get another WrestleMania report, and the 12th match is added, and this would end up being the final match added to WrestleMania, the Honky Tonk Man against Jake the Snake Roberts. And we do find out that Alice Cooper is in the side of Jake Roberts at WrestleMania. And then we go to our final match, a 6-man tag team match. Adrian Adonis and the Dream Team, Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine, going up against the Can-Am Connection, Rick Martel, Tom Zink, and Leapin' Lanny Poffo. Well, you'd figure this would be sort of a job match, but the ending is so great because during the match, Adonis, pardon me, I got the burps. Adonis accidentally cuts Beefcake's hair, which leads to Martel rolling up Beefcake, getting the 3 count. Can-Am and Poffo win the match, and then Beefcake, just wants to go at it with Poffo, or not Poffo, but with Adonis. And Adonis is apologizing, and he really wants to go at him. And, he's just really upset. And it's just shocking that, Adonis cut Beefcake's hair and he didn't even notice it. And when he did notice, it was too late. So, all in all, that is the 3 episodes of Superstars of Wrestling from February 14th, 21st, and 28th of 1987. And I can tell you, the momentum going to WrestleMania 3 is definitely there. You're seeing a lot of momentum of this pay-per-view going into it. They're hyping up these matches. They're doing it fantastically. It's absolutely great. And honestly, you can't beat it. Just watching it makes me feel excited to get WrestleMania 3, even though I'm a year old at the time. So, join me for the next edition of the video blog of the review of the 1987 season of Superstars of Wrestling, where I cover the episodes that took place on March 7th, 14th, and 21st, 1987.